From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome tonight. Pupils and teachers abducted in Orire local government area of Oyo State following attacks by bandits on May 15, 2026 regain freedom. President Bola Tinubu weighs in on the rescue of children and teachers from Orire community in Promotional, Oyo State by the security forces, describes it as a thing of joy. After months of uncertainty, the ruling All Progressives Congress formally announces Vice President Kashim Shettima as running mate to President Bola Tinubu for the 2027 presidential election. And UK police confirmed the arrest of a 26-year-old man over the murder of former MP Anne Whitcomb, found dead at her home on Thursday.
On business news, International Energy Agency IEA says global oil demand sets to decline for the first time since 2020, following havoc wreaked on production and exports by the Iran war.
On sports news tonight, reigning champion Yannick Sinner sweeps aside record-chasing Novak Djokovic in the Wimbledon semi-finals to set up a title showdown with Alexander Zverev.
From the nation's capital, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, reaffirms his commitments to upholding the Abuja Master Plan.
It's a day of joy and huge relief for the families after several weeks of despair in Oyo State and indeed across the country, as all the pupils and teachers abducted in Orire local government area nearly 2 months ago have been released. The announcement was made by the presidency in a post on the official X handle. Another post of the presidency reads, quote, "In the course of the rescue operation, 8 of the kidnappers were arrested and now in DSS custody, while some of them were neutralized. There was no quid pro quo in the rescue, as one of the terrorists, a kingpin that the kidnappers demanded his release, is being prosecuted for his atrocities, and the security agencies will give a full account soon," end quote. Now, a video also released by the special advisor to the president on the media shows the teachers and pupils thanking President Bola Tinubu for their rescue.
Hello, sir. Our father, we are grateful. The president, sir, we are grateful. We understand your commitment to our safety, and we appreciate all you did for us. We could see your hand. Thank you very much. And every security operative, they tried so much, and that is why we are still alive now. We are very grateful to you. Thank you very much. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has expressed profound joy at the successful rescue of the children and teachers from Orire community in Ogbomoso, Oyo State by the security forces. In a statement by the presidency, President Tinubu praised the heroic efforts of the security agencies, especially the military, the DSS, and the police, for working round the clock in the last 56 days to secure the release of the abducted children and their teachers without any collateral damage, and for arresting 8 of the abductors and neutralizing others. President Tinubu, however, regretted the anguish that the children and their teachers, as well as members of their families and the entire nation, have experienced since the sad occurrence. For cooperating with the federal government in all rescue efforts, President Tinubu commended the Oyo State government and charged it to ensure adequate security around schools across the state. The statement reads, quote, This successful military operation has ended the siege and standoff of over 50 days and has brought relief to the entire nation and the affected families in particular. On behalf of the country, I express my gratitude to the officers and men of our armed forces, the intelligence agencies, and the police for the safe rescue of the children and their teachers. My government will get justice for these children and their teachers and for the family of Mr. Oyedokun, who the terrorists gruesomely murdered." End quote. President Tinubu has also directed that the emergency agencies work with the Oyo State government to provide all necessary medical and relief support to the children and the teachers. In the meantime, the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, has described the release of the students and teachers of Orire community as a welcome development. According to the governor, who spoke on our political program, Politics Today, the release of the abducted students and their teachers is indeed a thing that gladdens the hearts of many Nigerians.
It's such a big relief for all of us and for those waiting, for this past 57 days. I think it's a big relief for all of us, and we'll use the opportunity to say thank you to our service commanders, the Nigerian police, the DSS, the military, and the high command, and of course the president, for pushing really hard, to have this done. I think I'm just right now overjoyed, and I cannot really say much. I will talk much later when I can put my thoughts together.
Indeed, there's been more reactions from Nigerians who have given credit to the current political administration in the country following the release of the abducted Orire school children. And for many of them, the need to properly secure the schools in the country should remain a huge concern to the present political class.
I am using this opportunity to smile because hardly do I come on this program when there is a very good news. And this is a fantastic news. The rescue of these students and teachers is a fantastic news. I want to take this moment to congratulate every single Nigerian for this successful operation, and in particular congratulate the service chiefs, the National Security Advisor, and the presidency for a well done job. They did a very good job in this operation, especially if it is rescue. And I make this point very clear, showing that I hope and pray that it is a rescue, as the presidential spokesperson says, because what we saw in the past are terrorists abducting our children in mass, taking them into bush and holding them in horrible conditions for a long time, and rescuing them after they have been paid millions of dollars, millions of euros in some cases. And what does that do? It incentivizes them to go and abduct more. And the more you pay, the more they will get the skill, the ability, the motivation, and the equipment to conduct more operations like this. And therefore, I hope and pray that this is an actual security operation. It was not a negotiation in which they were given money or anything like that. The second point I want to make shown is that we should not gloss over the suffering of these students and teachers. These are ordinary Nigerian children, men and women, girls and boys, who were abducted, and they were held in the most horrible condition any one of us can ever have the nightmare of living. And they stayed there for 56 days in the bush, no good food, no place to sleep, under the sun, in the rain, and in different weather. And many of them were being molested, and they were being threatened, and they didn't have their families around them to support them. They have gone through a lot, and therefore we should not gloss over their mental health. We need to do everything we can to support their health, not just their physical health. I know most times government will take them to hospitals to examine them, but if we do not want the trauma the post-traumatic stress disorder to stay with these children and teachers for the rest of their lives and even get transferred to their children, what is called transgenerational trauma, we need to treat it. And therefore, I want to call on the government of the Governor Sheyi Makinde, for example, to take their mental health seriously and to provide them with the mental and psychosocial support that they will need.
To politics, and after several months of speculation and uncertainty, the All Progressives Congress has formally announced Vice President Kashim Shettima as the running mate to President Bola Tinubu's 2027 presidential election, expressing confidence of securing a landslide victory at the polls. The names of President Tinubu and Vice President Shettima were officially submitted to the national chairman of the party, Professor Nentawe Yilwata, for onward transmission to the Independent National Electoral Commission, in line with electoral requirements. Now, the submission was made on behalf of the president by his special advisor on political matters, Mr. Ibrahim Masari, at a brief ceremony attended by members of the Progressive Governors Forum, the National Assembly, the Federal Executive Council, members of the APC National Working Committee, state chairmen of the party, and some parties' governorship candidates.
This brief ceremony, convened by the leadership of the ruling All Progressives Congress, is aimed at resolving the issue of who is the vice presidential candidate of the party. Addressing the gathering, the APC National Organizing Secretary aims that the occasion marks the formal submission of the duly completed nomination forms of the party's presidential and vice presidential candidates.
Want everybody to follow me, continue to support the party, support the leadership of the party, always, and continue to pray to our leaders, to our party, and to our dear country. And we also use this opportunity to thank all our governors, all the wonderful things they are doing in their respective states, providing dividends of democracy.
The governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodinma, who spoke on behalf of the governors, reaffirms their unwavering support for President Tinubu and the APC leadership.
We are here in our manners to support the political advisor to Mr. President to submit to the INEC nomination form for our presidential candidate and his running mate for the January presidential election 2027.
In his remarks, the APC National Chairman, Professor Nentawe Yilwata, describes the event as a reflection of the confidence reposed in President Tinubu by millions of party members, just as the National Publicity Secretary categorically names the vice presidential candidate of the party.
Today is a reflection of the wishes of over 12 million of our members of APC, who overwhelmingly voted Mr. President as their candidate to flag off the party candidature in the 2027 presidential election.
Presidential candidate of our party is President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And our vice presidential candidate is the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima.
Expressing confidence ahead of the 2027 elections, the All Progressives Congress claims it remains the only political party with a verified membership register.
Thank you.
And with the news of Vice President Kashim Shettima being retained, the country's #2 citizen has met with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa in Abuja to express his appreciation for the gesture, which keeps him as the All Progressives Congress presidential running mate for next year's general elections. The closed-door meeting took place at the president's office shortly after the APC formally unveiled the Tinubu-Shettima joint ticket following a stakeholders meeting. Vice President Shettima's visit comes after months of intense speculation about who will emerge as President Tinubu's running mate for the 2027 polls. Now, the APC's decision to retain the Tinubu-Shettima ticket underscores the party's confidence in the same leadership pair that secured victory in the 2023 presidential election. In part two, after the break, the chairman of the body of benchers, Mr. Albert Akpomuje, says that the body is currently working on a module to streamline the number of those to be called to bar within any given year. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Pupils and teachers abducted in Orire local government area of Oyo State following attacks by bandits on May 15, 2026, regain freedom. President Bola Tinubu weighs in on the rescue of children and teachers from Orire community in Promotional of Oyo State by the security forces, describes it as a thing of joy. After months of uncertainty, the ruling APC formally announced Vice President Kashim Shettima as running mate to President Bola Tinubu for next year's presidential election. And UK police confirmed the arrest of a 26-year-old man over the murder of former MP Anne Whitcomb, found dead at her home on Thursday. Still talking politics, Oyo State Governor and the Allied People's Movement presidential candidate for the 2027 elections, Seyi Makinde, has lamented that state governors are often blamed for insecurity in their states, despite lacking the constitutional authority to direct security agencies. Governor Makinde also spoke about what he describes as the increasingly hostile environment for opposition parties during a visit to the Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed. Meanwhile, the APM National Chairman, Yusuf Dantale, describes as unfortunate the continued repatriation of Nigerians from South Africa, saying the federal government has failed to respond adequately. Our correspondent, Hajara Aliyu, reports.
Allied People's Movement APM presidential candidate, Governor Seyi Makinde, accompanied by the party's national chairman, Yusuf Dantale, paid a visit to his APM counterpart, Governor Bala Mohammed in Bauchi State. It is the first meeting in Bauchi since their defection to the APM. The meeting was held behind closed doors, after which journalists were briefed. Governor Makinde says the visit is aimed at consultations on issues of national security and politics. He also responds to questions on his party's readiness to challenge the incumbent administration, the state of Nigeria's democracy, and the security situation in Oyo State and across the country.
Okay, thank you so much.
He argues that while governors are held responsible for security in their states, they lack the authority to issue operational directives to security agencies.
So we need to look at our architecture and be sure that where you give responsibility, you also give authority to deal with those responsibilities. And that is exactly what we will do if the people of Nigeria will trust APM with the presidency of Nigeria.
Speaking after the meeting, Governor Bala Mohammed explains that their discussions focused on building a strong and constructive opposition ahead of the 2027 general elections.
We discuss a lot. And then most importantly, the future of our party, the APM, that is growing as the next opposition party that is ready and repositioning itself to give constructive opposition in the country, and him as a presidential candidate.
The APM national chairman also expresses confidence in the party's chances of victory, describing the recent repatriation of Nigerians from South Africa and the controversy surrounding the national budget at the National Assembly as unfortunate developments.
It is very shameful in the history of Nigeria that Nigerians will be chased out of their countries by countries like South Africa that will work for their independence. And the government of this country is standing aloof. It is embarrassing.
As preparations for the 2027 election gather momentum, the party leaders reaffirmed their commitment to continue holding consultations in the coming months. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
The chairman of the body of benchers, Mr. Albert Akpomuje, has stated that the institution is currently working on a module to streamline the number of those to be called to bar within any given year. Speaking during the 2026 call to bar ceremony in Abuja, the senior advocate of Nigeria stated that the body of benchers cannot produce lawyers when there are not enough jobs to accommodate them, which he believes makes it necessary to regulate and benchmark that number. Our correspondent, Kumbi Abuluwade, tells us more.
The 2026 call to bar ceremony begins with a procession by members of the Body of Benchers of Nigeria as this cumulative 6,010 law graduates await enthusiastically. The ceremony is in accordance with Nigeria's Legal Practitioners Act. It has a total of 212 first-class graduates and 1,216 second-class graduates, among others. The Director General of the Nigerian Law School gives a vote of confidence on the candidates while charging them to abide by the rules of the profession.
I am extremely happy to affirm that this candidate exhibited the highest levels of decorum, discipline, and good manners throughout their training. I enjoin all like Jesus Christ to remain perpetually above suspicion and above God in your character.
Having satisfied all legal conditions of the institution, in a symbolic move, the chairman of the body of benchers presents the candidates to the body and directs them to put on their wigs as barristers and solicitors of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Afterwards, the chairman advises the graduates while hinting on ongoing plans by the body of benchers.
I implore all of you being called to the bar today to take part in the mentorship program of the body of benchers and key into it to have very solid foundation in your legal practice. This will also take care of situations where members of the bar, after a call with no office, start for briefs at the magistrate's court, waiting at the police station to grab overnight briefs of those arrested and charged to court, which has earned the embarrassing name of what is popularly known as charge and bail lawyers.
The institution awards some new wigs who distinguished themselves during the bar examination. The excitement here is indeed contagious as these 6,010 candidates have now been called to bar. But beyond the ceremony, the new wigs have been charged to always maintain utmost professionalism in the course of their duty. From the headquarters of the body of benchers in Abuja, Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
And there's more reactions indeed from the recent abduction or the rescue of the students of Orire community who are now already with the Oyo State government. And of course, security analyst Bulama Bukati has been reacting to that incident, but also he's also been speaking, urging the federal government to do more to help secure the release of students who were also abducted in Borno State. That was on the same day the Orire community abductions occurred on May the 15th this year.
I'm very happy over the release of the Oyo children. There are 42 children from Musa in Borno State that were abducted on exact the same day that the Oyo children were abducted. These 42 Musa children, they are still in captivity. None of them has been rescued. Before them, there were the Ngosho people who were over 150 of them abducted. And there was another incident before that. And of course, we then had another one 10 days ago where 36 students, 25 females and 11 males, writing their NECO exams, all between the ages of 15 or 16 to 19, abducted, and they are still in captivity. I want to call on the federal government, the service chiefs, the national security advisor, and everyone involved to prioritize rescuing these children, just like we saw in the case of the Oyo children.
Still ahead on the news at 10, International Energy Agency IEA says global oil demand set to decline for the first time since 2020, following havoc wreaked on production and exports by the war in Iran. That's on Business News. Join us again. Welcome back. Now let's head to the nation's capital, where Gloria Mizoke is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Great to see you again, Gloria. Over to you.
Great to see you too. Thank you, Ayo. Well, here in the nation's capital, President Bola Tinubu has restated the commitment of his administration to cater to the legitimate desires of every citizen, insisting that ongoing economic reforms are geared towards achieving that objective. The president, who was represented by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, stated this during the official commissioning of access roads, water and power facilities at the informal sector layout in Wasa district of Abuja.
It's day 23 of the 30 days commissioning schedule of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, and this time around, it's the commissioning of access roads, water and power supply to the informal sector layout in Wasa district of Abuja. The event is attended by dignitaries, including 7 federal lawmakers and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Having laid the background of the project and its purpose, the FCT minister has this to say to mechanics and traders for whom this layout is developed.
I hope too that you have settled your differences so that we can do the needful. I know you have had differences, who is in this faction or the other faction. Please make sure you put your house in order so that we can confidently and quickly move down to this place and enjoy the environment.
The layout will serve as a business hub for mechanics and other traders who currently carry out their trades along the Apo Mechanic Village. President Bola Tinubu, who is represented by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, reiterates his commitment to driving reforms that work for all Nigerians.
The economic reforms we have initiated are undoubtedly painful, and their immediate impact has been heavy on households and businesses alike. To all Nigerians, I assure you with the utmost sincerity that these decisions were not made lightly. They are difficult but necessary surgeries required to save the patient. We are painstakingly tearing down the broken structures of the past to lay an unshakable, sustainable foundation for a prosperous.
The FCT minister has been commissioning projects in the Federal Capital Territory within the last 3 weeks. And as the 30 days exercise enters its last week, the minister promises to continue to execute projects that will directly impact the businesses and lives of residents.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
as part of efforts to accelerate reforms in Nigeria's basic education sector, the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, says it has unlocked more than 100 billion naira previously unaccessed education grants disbursed to states and the Federal Capital Territory. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Mrs. Aisha Garba, made this known during an interactive session with education correspondents in Abuja.
It is a gathering of education experts and correspondents covering the sector as the Universal Basic Education Commission holds its first ever media interactive session.
I also thank every journalist and media practitioner.
The interaction begins with a highlight of its essence.
UBEC, and indeed the ES, values good communication, honest engagement with the public and openness, listen well and be accountable to the people we serve. To our friends in the media, I want to sincerely appreciate your professionalism and commitment and your steady support. You have helped us to tell the story of UBEC.
Issues of grants and projects being executed by the Commission to ensure greater access to basic education is the focus of the address by the Executive Secretary.
We value media so much that the first thing when I came,
that was a year and a half ago, is to look at what is missing within the organogram, within the organization, and the departments that we think are critical. And one of them is the corporate communication. So this is really to show you how much we value this relationship, that we have a whole dedicated department just to ensure we work together.
Teacher development remains a key pillar of UBEC's reform agenda.
Strengthening the digital learning, because we're in 20th century. A lot of our students, if you go to JSS or upper primary, they cannot operate a computer. Meanwhile, there's a policy that says all our wired NECONA should be computer-based. So now, the focus is how do we set up a digital learning center, even if it is one computer school, and we secure it.
On his part, the chairman of the Education Correspondent Association of Nigeria, ECAN, urged UBEC to maintain consistent dialogue with the media to counter misinformation and speculations.
While we have enjoyed productive relationships with many education agencies, our engagement with UBEC has not been as strong as we would have desired. We believe today's meeting marks a turning point and the beginning of a more cordial, productive, and mutually beneficial partnership, just like you highlighted.
The interactive session, which is the first in the history of the Commission, is aimed at countering misinformation in the sector through deeper collaboration between the Commission and the media.
In crime news, the Nigeria Police National Cybercrime Center has announced the bursting of an international cyber-enabled fraud syndicate based in Asaba, Delta State. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the Force Public Relations Officer, Mr. Anyetie Iniedo, says the arrest of 6 suspects is owing to actionable intelligence received from the National Crime Agency of the United Kingdom and the collaborative efforts of the NPF National Cybercrime Center. He also announced the bursting of a 6-man syndicate who allegedly defrauded a telecoms company of the sum of 6.7 billion naira through unauthorized access to the company's billing platform.
The busting of international cyber-enabled fraud syndicates in Asaba, Delta State. The offense. Suspected involvement in organized international cyber-enabled fraud schemes involving the online impersonation of internationally recognized personalities to defraud foreign victims of money and other valuables. Acting on intelligence received from the National Crime Agency of the British High Commission, Abuja, the Nigerian Police Force National Cybercrime Center, NPF NCCC, conducted surveillance and investigations into a suspected scam center operating in Asaba, Delta State. On 4 July 2026, operatives executed a coordinated search and arrest operation, dismantled the suspected scam center and arrested 6 suspects, recovering several exhibits. Preliminary forensic examination revealed evidence of online impersonation and other cyber-enabled fraudulent activities targeting foreign victims. Investigations are ongoing.
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ayo, in Lagos.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Nestle Nigeria, producers of Nescafe, has organized the grand finale of Nescafe Next Level Promo, a nationwide consumer campaign designed to support Nigerian entrepreneurs, reward everyday consumers, and give their hard work a major financial boost. Running from April to June the 30th this year, the promo has given out over 80 million naira in cash, work tools, business grants, and professional training. The event took place at Nestle's administrative headquarters in Ilupeju in Lagos.
It's the grand finale of the Nescafe Next Level promo put together by confectionery giants Nestle Nigeria at its headquarters in the Ilupeju area of Lagos. The promotional period of April to June 30th, 2026 had 5 raffle draws rewarding lucky customers fortnightly with cash prizes, airtime, among other prizes. Today, however, grand winners go home with prizes such as major business grants, specialized professional work tools like laptops, cameras, sewing machines, makeup kits, and cash awards of over 3 million naira each. Management gives the inspiration behind this initiative.
Inspiration behind this promo was really to find a way to really connect to our consumers, to let them know that we're with them all through the journey of the way. So whatever they choose to be in life, an astronaut, a pilot, whatever it is, Nescafe is there for them to really strive and follow that journey, further hustle, and that's why we did this promo.
We're super happy to have done this. Again, we've touched lives. We've had winners coming in from across Nigeria, Ebonyi State, Kaduna State, Plateau State, and also Lagos State. Whenever you see a promo like this, I would say, look at it critically and participate. You never know. We have one contestant who actually won just by drinking one sachet of Nescafe, just one. And in fact, she bought half a roll, and through that, she just put in one code, and today she's here.
The high point of the ceremony is the presentation of awards to the grand winners who emerged from Jos, Kaduna, Ebonyi, and Lagos.
It was never by my effort.
Some of the grand prize winners share their experiences.
I'm very happy that I was part of the experience. And thanks to Nescafe team for organizing this super promo. The next level promo was I felt like I almost cried.
When I received the call from Nescafe saying that I won a flight, I thought it was a lie until they brought the flight ticket, and I was very, very amazed. They have provided such a long-lasting experience in our mind because it's actually my first time.
These initiatives have thousands of entries with many more rewarded with prizes across the nation. Nescafe says he hopes to continue to drive entrepreneurial campaigns like this and looks forward to the next edition.
A new independent report has placed Lagos tourism under the spotlight, concluding that while Nigeria's commercial capital has firmly established itself as West Africa's entertainment and cultural powerhouse, it must strengthen infrastructure, security, digital innovation, and destination marketing to achieve its ambition of becoming Africa's leading smart tourism destination. The findings are contained in the Lagos Smart Tourism Index 2025, researched and authored by Dr. Iyaduni Gbadebo, and officially released at the Eko Hotels and Suites in Lagos.
Please put your hands together.
Before an assemblage of key players in the tourism and hospitality industry, the Lagos Smart Tourism Index 2025 is officially unveiled. The 38-page research-based report by Dr. Iyaduni Gbadebo is described as a benchmark for measuring Lagos's progress toward becoming Africa's global tourism destination. It highlights the economic impact of festivities in 2024, including Dirty December, which generated over $71.6 million.
You have to be intentional about what you pass on.
The index evaluates Lagos's performance across 5 pillars: infrastructure and accessibility, safety and security, digital engagement, hospitality and visitor experience, and destination marketing.
And it shouldn't be an excuse to say that we cannot start moving one while we wait for the other to get improved upon. And so the low-hanging fruit, I remind you again, is destination marketing. And that can start even right now. You can start posting about this. You can start sharing this. You can start talking about it so that people know that we are talking positive about a city that we live in and we're proud enough to position on the global stage.
The findings stimulate further conversations among policymakers and industry leaders, offering strategies to strengthen Lagos's global competitiveness in tourism.
This index has given us the measurement stick. What remains is the will across administrations, across agencies, across the private sector and government, working as true partners to close the gap between what Lagos already is and what Lagos has always had the potential to become.
In an interview, a Lagos State government official and the author shed more light on challenges around destination marketing and global perception, areas where Lagos must improve.
Perception is our biggest problem, and that's what this report has very glaringly showed, that perception is the problem that we have, and it's a problem and it's a low-hanging fruit, because we can fix the problem of perception by countering negative, media with positive, actionable things that we are actually doing in Lagos that makes Dirty December dirty in Lagos.
You will agree that Lagos is a mini country on its own. So any serious government, like I said, would take all the boxes. Ranging from medical to health, to hospitality and all that. Lagos has a number, and we'll continue to go for everything and make sure that make Lagos count.
Industry stakeholders say the unveiling of the inaugural Lagos Smart Tourism Index 2025 marks a defining moment, moving Lagos from potential to performance in its journey towards becoming a global tourism destination.
Business News is up next with Dominic Iwiwo.
Thank you, Ayotunde. And on business news, global oil demand is set to decline for the first time since 2020 as the Iran war wreaked havoc with production and exports in the Middle East. And this is according to the International Energy Agency, IEA. In its latest oil market report released today, the Paris-based energy agency world oil demand is set to decline by 1 million barrels per day year-on-year in 2026, which would mark its first annual decrease since the height of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. The IEA explains that this year's contraction is highly skewed in both product and regional terms, as the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the vital shipping route for oil and gas, disrupted exports through the Persian Gulf. And for the first time in 3 years, the governor of Rivers State walks into the House of Assembly chambers to present a budget which is titled Budget of Resilience for Growth and Development. Breaking down the budget figures, the governor proposes a 1.8 trillion naira figure, which is a 24.49% increase over the 2025 adjusted figure, driven by projected increase in IGR, FAC allocations, and derivation funds. Receiving the bill, the Speaker interrogates its provisions before offering the governor a three-part assurance of commitment, urgency, and shared purpose.
The total projected revenue for Rivers State for the year 2026 fiscal year is 1 trillion 854 billion 248 million 734,475 naira 76 kobo. This means our proposed total operating revenue for 2026 is projected to increase by 24.49% over the 2025 adjusted budgeted projection.
Recall that very recently we gave the consideration that is required in line with the Rivers State Fiscal Responsibility Law to the medium-term expenditure framework. We looked at what your projections are for the next 3 fiscal years, and the House approved the MTEF. Today, you have laid before this August Assembly the 2026 appropriation bill. We will do what we need to do and what is required of us in line with the 1999 Constitution as amended.
Starting off the week positive, Nigeria's stock market ended Friday's trading session in the red as the impact of profit-taking halted the 5-day rally which kick-started the month. Inijomekwa tells us more.
Good evening,
everyone. Welcome to the stock market report. I think that the excitement we had at the market yesterday was just so much. So today, investors decided to take a bit of the profits, and so they took 103 billion naira out of the market. But that still leaves us comfortably at the 156 trillion naira market cap level. All share is down 0.07% at 243,798.76. Activity was mixed, but mostly in the red compared to Thursday's trade. So volume and value in the red, but deals was more than what we had on Thursday. We look at the full gas and we see where the activity mostly were. The full gas, we see that 1, 2, 3 of them, that's Serbian Holding, GT Co, and Access, recorded losses at the end of today's trade. But UBA and Zenith were still so attractive and still attracted some funds to those stocks. So we're going to have a red weekend, but it's not so red. It's just a little bit of the bear.
Let's find out major global stock markets ended Friday's trading session. And that's it on business news. Back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Dominic. Simon Pusey is up next with Around the World in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. At least 11 people have died in a wildfire in southern Spain, with early indications suggesting 4 of the victims are British. Local official. Hundreds of firefighters are working to contain the blaze around Los Galados, Almeria, which appears to have been caused by a downed power line. The bodies of the victims were found near the small village of Bedar, just outside Los Galados, while 19 others are still missing and hundreds of residents have been evacuated. The regional president called the impact of the fire devastating and has warned the death toll could rise significantly. A sustained heat wave with temperatures of around 40 degrees Celsius has caused wildfires across southern Europe.
Unfortunately, in this case, the decision to take a route other than the evacuation route, the decision to seek their own way out through a dry riverbed, was a trap chosen by the people who ultimately died. In one instance, there was a vehicle where 4 people died, and initially, everything seems to indicate that they were of British origin. Among other things, the car's steering wheel was on the opposite side.
A Ukrainian intelligence agent who confessed to killing the woman suspected of trying to assassinate a multimillionaire and his family in Monaco last week has now claimed he did not pull the trigger. In court in Kyiv for a custody hearing, Vladislav Roit, who a few days ago led investigators to Anastasia Berezovska's grave in the woods, said that he categorically denied committing her murder and blamed his alleged accomplice instead. On Thursday evening, President Volodymyr Zelensky said he would have additional relevant reports to share in the coming days, but the motive for the Monaco blast that targeted Vadim Yermolayev remains unclear. A fire at a shoe factory in the southeastern Chinese city of Xinjiang has killed at least 28 people, according to the state news agency. Dramatic footage posted by Xinhua shows huge plumes of black smoke rising from a building, as well as people who appeared to be trapped on the roof. President Xi Jinping said the blaze had caused major casualties, adding those responsible must be held accountable. Xinjiang, in the province of Fujian, is often referred to as China's shoe capital, as it reportedly manufactures 20% of the world's sports shoes. South African computer chip maker SK Hynix has raised $26.5 billion in its New York share offering, marking the largest ever listing by a foreign firm in the US. The company, a key supplier to artificial intelligence chip giant NVIDIA, said that it had sold 177.9 million American depository shares for $149 each. The shares began trading on Friday on the Nasdaq. SK Hynix saw its market value top $1 trillion in its home country in May, lifted by the boom in demand for AI chips. Its share price has more than tripled in South Korea this year, which along with Samsung Electronics has helped to boost the benchmark Kospi index by more than 70% over the same period. China has successfully landed a reusable rocket for the first time in a major breakthrough for the country's space program. The Long March 10B rocket lifted off from Hainan in southern China at 12:15 local time on Friday. Around 6 minutes after separating from the rocket's upper stage, its booster returned to Earth vertically and was recovered on a floating platform. Rockets are typically considered expendable, their various segments being discarded and destroyed during ascent, which makes launching spacecraft very expensive. And a museum has covered its floor in peanut butter to honour a late artist. Rotterdam's Museum Boijmans van Beuningen recreated Pindakaasvloer, or Peanut Butter Floor, a 1969 work by Dutch artist Wim T. Schippers following his death in June. 2 staff members spent days spreading 40 tubs of smooth peanut butter across a 270 square foot hexagon to an even 0.8 inch thickness, exactly as Schippers specified in a 20-point plan he left behind. The sticky tribute is on show at the museum's depot building for the next 2 months.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Reigning champion Yannick Sinner has clinically swept aside record-chasing Novak Djokovic in the Wimbledon semi-finals earlier today to set up a title showdown with Alexander Zverev. The world #1 powered to a brilliant 6-4, 6-4, 6-4 victory on centre court over the 39-year-old Djokovic, whose latest bid for a 25th Grand Slam hit a now familiar stumbling block.
It's a hole to love for Yannick Sinner as he takes.
And European champion Spain beat Belgium 2-1 this evening to set up a heavyweight World Cup semi-final showdown with France. Mikel Merino bundled in a rebound from Paul Kubasi in the 88th minute to settle a tense battle in favor of the Spaniards at the Sophie Stadium. Spain will now face France at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas on Tuesday. That's sports. Ayo, it's back to you.
And the main news again. Pupils and teachers abducted in Uriri local government area of Oyo State following attacks by bandits on May the 15th this year, today regained their freedom. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun from everyone here. You have a good night and a great weekend.